Call my friends? Yes. Call my enemies? Yes. Call people that I used to work with? Yes. The answer is yes to everything for networking. So we've tried to make it more discreet, which is network to the people who are connected to that job. And an important thing for your listeners to remember too is if somebody is applying to a job at a company, a lot of times the company pays money for a referred candidate to the employees of the company. So if you can get somebody at the company to like you, they might get paid to be your advocate for that job.
Are you a scaling SaaS founder? Ready to make the leap from leading a team to leading an organization? Join us each week as we refill your think tank with actionable tips and strategies from great business minds you know and those you don't know yet. This is SaaS Fuel with your host, 5-time entrepreneur, SaaS founder, and globetrotting adventurer, Jeff Maines.
Welcome back to the SaaS Fuel podcast, where in the tech world, the job search is 20% networking, 30% praying, and 50% pretending being passionate about data pipelines isn't a subtle cry for help. I'm your host, Jeff Maines. I hope B2B SaaS founders like you grow from traction to scale. Here, growth is more than just numbers. It's about crafting a future-proof company, premium valuation, and leaders who build a business of significance while living epic, adventurous lives. How do you stand out as a candidate when you're one of hundreds or maybe even thousands applying for the same role, if it even exists? And the job board and the application process, all of that just feels like a black hole. In this episode, we're flipping the script on job search, and our founder guest is putting power back in the hands of job seekers with an amazing SaaS application. We're talking AI-powered tools built for candidates, not just the companies hiring them. From crafting personal elevator pitches to intelligent job matching, this conversation dives into how modern tech can finally close the gap between talent and opportunity. And really, as leaders, we want that also. We want the best candidates to find us. We'll also get into the business side of things, why charging a modest subscription for meaningful value makes sense, how job seekers are shaping the product roadmap, and why empowering people to articulate their worth is a mission that goes far beyond resume tips. If you're building a company that supports job seekers or is looking to hire or creating career tech or just curious about how AI can transform self promotion and connection, this episode delivers both inspiration and innovation. Really excited about this founder, so let's get into it. Our expert guest last Thursday was Mitch Weisberg, the author of Mind Shifting. Mitch delivered a playbook for rewiring how we think, especially when change or challenge shows up, which seems to happen constantly. From breaking unconscious habits to reframing conflict as growth, he shared frameworks every leader needs to get out of their own head and back into intentional action. If you've ever felt like your brain's running the meeting without you, this one is your reset. And our founder last week was Juan Betancourt, CEO of Human Intelligence and the mind behind Ask Aura, AI's first workplace psychometric coach. It's pretty cool. Juan shared how data-driven emotional intelligence is helping global teams communicate better, lead stronger, and work more humanely. From scaling culture across continents to closing dangerous communication gaps, this episode is a must listen for any leader serious about building high performance, high trust teams. So go check those out. My guest today is Garrett Rice, co founder and CEO of Callings.ai. After 25 years at the intersection of product innovation and team building, including a long run at Apple, Garrett found himself on the other side of the hiring table, job hunting. That frustrating experience sparked Callings.ai, an AI-powered platform built to simplify, organize, and actually support the modern job search. Welcome the founder who is turning career chaos into clarity, Garrett Rice. Hey, Garrett, welcome to SaaS Fuel.
Thank you. Great to be here, Jeff.
You had a storied career at Apple. It's pretty cool. What personal experience sparked the idea for Callings.ai?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd been at Apple a very long time, and then I'd worked some other places, did some consulting, and was trying to figure out what to do next. I didn't want to go back to Apple in the sense that I'd been there so long. And so I started looking for a job. And really, for the first time in my career, like a real job hunt. And during that process, I did the part of a career coach named Horst Govin's workshop and met my partner. Horst is actually part of our company as well now, but
Cool.
Philippe Caillou, is the CTO and my co-founder. He and I, we were very excited about AI. We would just get on the phone and talk about that and what opportunities we were trying to look for. And we talked a lot about the job hunt. And several things crystallized. One is that the modern job hunt, has changed dramatically just in the last 5 to 7 years from what anybody before that ever experienced. It's all about volume. You're competing globally with other job seekers because of remote work and hybrid work. There's no geographic boundaries on jobs anymore. You're not just competing against the people in your area for jobs in your area. You're competing everywhere against everybody. And then, of course, technology is advanced. So for every job, there's dramatically more job applications being made. And the net result is it's a nightmare for job seekers. It's so much more difficult than it used to be. It's a workflow. It's a real job to get a job. And so we had all those impressions, and we were looking at all this new AI technology 2 years ago, and we we're like, that's probably the solution. AI can really help level the playing field. It may not make it better, but it can certainly level the playing field. And so Philippe had started mocking up some tools for his own job hunt. And I was like, dude, I would use those. I would pay for those tools. And he started building those, and then I joined him. And all this time later, we've been at it for a couple years now. And Callings, we think, has one of the most robust feature sets for AI job search in the marketplace. We cover most of the job workflow that a job seeker will have to go through. And we've worked with AI and other technologies, traditional SaaS technologies, to accelerate every step of that workflow. And the result is we now have thousands of users. We've only been out of beta since this spring. We're off to a great start, and we're getting great feedback from our users. They like it. I was just on a phone call with a user that has been affected by the Doge layoffs. And I use your product every day. I love it. And that's always gratifying to hear, because on the product side, when you work on something, you never know exactly how the users are going to receive it until they start using it.
That's exactly right.
It's been a great journey. We're just getting started. We have a long way to go. We feel like we're in a space that needs us.
Without a doubt. And you're definitely hitting the market at the right time, as it has certainly changed. What do you think is broken in the job hunt experience today, and how does Callings flip the script for the job seeker?
So many things are broken about the modern job hunt. Here's some relevant statistics. The average job seeker now is going to search for about 6 months or more. And the more white collar worker they are, the more closer to a year that job hunt is going to be. They're going to work 10 hours a week doing that job hunt at least. They're going to apply to a minimum of 50 jobs. And that's a statistic that's 5 years old. We think that number is probably closer to 100 or more now. If you're going to be considered, you have to apply to that many roles. And then when you apply, you're going to be competing at minimum with about 250 people for every role. And for important or prominent companies, the number's in the thousands, right? Companies' big complaint on the HR side now is they're getting too many applicants. And so that has necessitated an arms race in which they've implemented technology to review resumes without human interference. So 75% or more of resumes that are submitted for a job are never seen by another human being and are only evaluated by these applicant tracking systems or ATS systems. And so what that's led to is job seekers are using, on average, 16 different tools and services to try and fight this battle. That reminds me of the old NFL adage, which is if you have 2 quarterbacks competing at camp to be the starter, you have no quarterbacks. Because if you can't identify, and we don't think that there's been a good tool for job seekers. And so that's been our goal. And the result really is around managing the entire workflow and building AI tools to help them on the steps. Going through the problems I've described, you're going to be hunting for a while. You need a workflow tool. The average job seeker creates their own spreadsheet to track all the jobs they're pursuing. That was fine when it was 10 jobs. It's no longer tenable when you're applying to 100 jobs. And so at the core of our system is a CRM system for tracking hundreds of jobs, so that they're all in one place. You know what you've done with all of them. And for each job, we track the workflow for that job. Have you submitted a resume and a cover letter? Have you networked? Here are your notes, all for each job. And we've replaced the spreadsheet. We've replaced the note-taking feature with a centralized tool And then the second thing is finding job opportunities, right? If you have to apply to more jobs, you need to find them. And so we have a job matching system, which is unique. So we use AI to compare our users' resumes against millions of job posts and find jobs that they're qualified for. And then we give them a score. And the score basically tells them several things. One is how close does this job match what you say you want? And also, how likely are you to get through that applicant tracking system? And that's one of our more popular features is our job match score. And at a
Yeah.
glance, you get a sense of your chances for that job. And then, of course, we tailor resumes and cover letters for each job individually. You can no longer submit just your base resume to a job. You have to go through the difficult process of ensuring that your resume somewhat matches the job post. And that doesn't mean to lie. So a lot of people are using AI to straight up just like spam a fake profile
Unfortunate
of
but true.
themselves. We don't think in the long run that's going to be a successful business because the companies are just going to block it. They're going to identify the companies that are spamming and they're just going to block those submissions because they want legitimate candidates with real information. And so our approach is to take the resume and cover letter and make it a reflection of our candidates while at the same time addressing what the ATS systems want. Like, for example, their skills, making certain the skill block matches the job. An example that I've given many times is companies have different names for the same role. So at Apple, for example, I was the product marketing manager on several products. And at Apple, product management, which is to say working with engineering to build the product, and product marketing, which is the outbound marketing and promotion of that product, are the same role. The same person does both things.
That makes
At,
sense. Yeah. But
at a
not
company,
everywhere.
no, at Adobe, for
Yeah.
example, product management is a very defined role, and product marketing is a totally separate role. They want an outbound and an inbound person. So if you were applying at Adobe with an Apple resume, you might not be considered for a product management role because they would read your background and say, "Ah, you're a product marketer." Whereas at Apple, that's the same thing. At Adobe, it's different. And so that's just an example of how lexicon and culture and that type of thing change from job to job. And this is an example of where we help our customers. We help them put themselves in the best light for that role in the parlance that the company is looking for. And so that's yet another part of the workflow. But it's not that's only one part of it. And that's if there's one high level message your listeners should understand is that the job hunt is a multi-step process. And if you go and get career coaching, they might focus just on interviewing. But if you can't get an
Right.
interview, then
It doesn't matter.
you can't use those skills. And so the steps that your listener should understand is first and foremost is who are you? What are you looking for? And we have tools to help our users do that and suss out their personal brand and what their ideal job would look like. And then the next one is to find job opportunities. And so we provide a jobs database. We also allow any of our users to bring in jobs from anywhere else. So we have a plugin for LinkedIn jobs and Indeed jobs. You can add jobs from hiring company sites all into your tracker.
Nice.
So we want to be the central place for your job hunt. So you only have one place to go in the morning when you wake up. And then what I just mentioned is the customization of resumes and cover letters. Then there's the step after that, and probably the most important step, which is networking. So when you've applied for a job, the best way to think of it is your resume is sitting in a pile, and some mechanical ATS system is going to go through that, and you might get accepted or rejected. You have no control over that. And that's part of the nightmare is, by the way, these ATS systems, for whatever reason, the companies never tell people when they're rejected. So most of the time you
That's
apply,
tough. Yeah.
if you're listening out there, hiring companies, do your applicants a solid and just tell them if you're not going to consider them. It'll make a difference to them because they go insane waiting to hear from you. But if you're in that pile and you've submitted, the best way a job seeker can increase their odds dramatically is to network. And we have built an AI powered tool to take the best aspects of LinkedIn, but to use it more effectively for the job hunt, which is to say, we don't just give you access to your social graph and say, go find somebody. We go through and bring you the 5 to 7 people that are connected to that role at the company. So if you're applying for a product manager role at Adobe, we will find 3 to 5 to 7 people that are on the team that you're applying to so that you can network and reach out to the right people. And then we draft the outreach message, and you could either send it via LinkedIn or you can send it directly via email, because we'll source the email for those people. And the result is, you want to wake up every day, say apply to 10 jobs, and then using our tool, you can network to 3 to 5 to 7 people for each of those jobs, and you can do that within a matter of 20 minutes. And so what we hope is, every day you could have outreach to 50 people without the pain and agony that it currently causes. And that's how you're going to get a job, because not all 50 of those people are going to respond to you. It only takes a couple. But if they do, if they're willing to talk with you, they will then carry your resume to the hiring manager and say, Jeff is interested in this role. I talked with him. He's really impressive. You should consider him. And then instantly you're out of the pile of 250. You're into a different state. You're in the I'm going to interview this person pile, which is where you want to be. And then it's up to you, right? You have to win them over. But honestly, if you get the interview, it's really, you're a finalist at that point. So that's another tool that we've built, which our users like, is we really give them, we make networking paint by numbers. And networking has always been a mystery workflow feature for most people.
Yes.
Everybody hears it. You got to network, and then they sit
right. Nobody knows how to do it.
Like,
where's the map?
What does it mean? Do you mean I'm supposed to call my friends? Yes. Call my enemies? Yes. Call people that I used to work with? Yes. The answer is yes to everything for networking. And so we've tried to make it more discreet, which is network to the people who are connected to that job. And an important thing for your listeners to remember too is, if somebody is applying to a job at a company, a lot of times the company pays money for a referred candidate to the employees of the company. So if you can get somebody at the company to like you, they might get paid to be your advocate for that job.
Exactly.
That's how you can start to win at this process. But make no mistake, it's a process. It's very similar to a sales job. You want to pour as many leads in at the top as possible, and then you want to matriculate those leads through your funnel. And the application is the middle of the funnel, and the networking is the next step in the funnel, and then the interview is at the bottom of the funnel. And the very last step, obviously, is multiple job offers with insane benefits and the salaries. So we also support interview preparation tools. We provide a very detailed report for every job you apply to that's job specific, the types of questions you're likely to get, the behavioral questions you're likely to get, the people who you're likely to meet in the interview process, and who they are and what their background is, very detailed, so that you can prepare successfully. And we generate suggested answers that you can look at as a template for how to answer certain common questions. All of that exists on our platform as well, and more. We offer coaching services. We offer a weekly networking group with the people on the platform, so you can meet and talk with other job seekers. Phil Terry, the famous job seeking author, says it best: never search alone.
Yep.
Job search is one of the most depressing things people go through. And so you got to stay connected with other human beings. And what we hope with our tool, Callings, is we provide them a workflow so they can confidently wake up every day and make progress. And that's how you beat depression, is take action. And so we have a tool for that. And that's Callings in a long, rambling nutshell.
I think it's brilliant, because just from the other side, we've seen the applicant tracking systems and job boards and things like that are using AI to show, here are the candidates that best fit your description. And I think that's really helpful. And just recently, you posted a job and 550 candidates. How in the world do you sort through that? And there's no way. And some of the finalists, one reached out direct on LinkedIn. Hey, I've got some questions about this. Brilliant strategy. Didn't get in the pile, got an immediate interview.
Yeah.
Other ones,
it works.
Yes, it does. Well, other ones did do the kind of the end around and made contact with other team members. And they're like, hey, I think this person may be a good fit. Again, out of the pile, right in. But how do you do that? And so that's when I think that the platform is absolutely fantastic. And one, just making sure that you're part of that initial consideration set, but then just the compelling events, the compelling reasons to move forward. Why should I talk to this person? Somebody on my team recommended them. And I think that the referral incentive is huge, and most people completely underestimate that or forget it exists.
No, you're so right. And I'll add to it too, by the way, of course, the other aspect, which is who is reaching out demonstrates initiative, ambition, energy, interest in the job. Everybody, those 500 people that applied to your job, they're just pieces of paper. The minute somebody contacts you, they're a human being, right? So that's
Exactly.
another thing to remember is you're not being considered. A piece of paper representing you is being considered. When you reach out to somebody, you become real to them. You manifest. And there's some aspect of human nature that I don't fully understand, but when you meet somebody, it subtly creates certain human obligations between the two of you. That's how networking works. Unless, of course, you've completely offended the person, but
Right. There's that. Yeah.
then it creates a different set of connections, deep resentment.
Right.
But I think most people are decent human beings. And if you're applying for a job, I think you're generally qualified. And so talking to somebody, suddenly they get to know you. If they like you, they'll really push for you. And it makes all the difference. And that's why for most successful job search, 70% of them have some type of networking. And by the way, we're only talking about posted jobs. One other aspect of this whole networking thing is there's this quote unquote invisible job market or hidden job market, which is many companies, when they have a job opening, fill it internally or fill it with people that they know and never post
Yes.
it ever. And that's a higher percentage by far than the jobs that are posted. So I think some estimates suggest that it's 80% bigger or something like that.
Sometimes they just have to post it for internal reasons, but they've already selected the person inside and
There's that
it's
too.
not real anyway.
That's right.
So that networking is so important.
Yeah, and you talked about pain points and some of the agonies of the modern job hunt. Here's another whole bucket of things, which is companies are posting jobs that they have no intention of filling, like you're talking about, which are checklist job posts because they're going to hire the CEO's cousin. They have to post it so that they can claim that
They
they
have to
were.
pretend.
Yeah, so that's one type. Another one is companies post the same job over and over again to gather candidates to build their database, but have no intention of hiring anybody. Or some of the job boards get paid as an ad network. And so they post jobs and repost jobs. Even when the job sometimes is old, they'll keep reposting it because they're getting paid to post by the hiring company, even though the hiring company doesn't want to promote that job anymore. And then there's fake jobs to try and slurp data from people. There's all sorts of things. And we at Callings are working hard to solve that problem. So within the next 30 to 60 days, we will increase our job inventory 40-fold from what we currently have. We hope
Wow.
to have upwards of 8 million jobs a week, and which would put us with anybody, LinkedIn, Indeed,
Yep.
we'd have that many jobs. And a key element for us when we were building this inventory is all the jobs have to be hosted directly by the hiring companies. We no longer want jobs through intermediaries or middlemen because it almost always goes bad for the job seeker. They go off on a
Yeah.
merry chase. They get sent here. They have to register before they can apply because the person's gathering registration information. And so they're not getting to the job. And so we're pretty excited about this. We're going to be able to bring people millions of jobs that are legit. We'll track them. If they get pulled, we'll pull them out and highlight it in the job tracker on our platform so that they'll know that the job is no longer available, which is also really valuable. It doesn't solve the problem of why hiring companies don't notify applicants if they're not going to hire them. If you're listening out there, you should do that. It's good practice. But that's where we're going. And solving that problem, we hope we can really help do, which is to get the job seeker close to real jobs that they can apply to. That's the dream for everybody. And then on the hiring side, they've got the same set of problems. They're overwhelmed.
Yep.
It's become so easy to apply to jobs. They're getting so many candidates. And we hope to look into that part of it as well and see if we can't make that a more compelling solution.
That's awesome. Are you missing key relationships that could transform your leadership? Most leaders are. They just can't see it. And here's what shocked me: the most successful leaders aren't lone heroes. They're the center of four specific relationships that multiply their impact while preserving their sanity. You're probably like everybody else, drowning in connections, but starving for real support. And it's creating a silent epidemic of leadership burnout among executives just like you. So, take my free assessment at thecaptainskeys.com Discover which critical relationships you're missing in under 5 minutes. And then grab my new book, The Captain's Keys, part Netflix drama, part game changing blueprint for leadership that actually sustains you. One CEO called it the owner's manual I never got. So stop flying blind and see what you're missing. Well, after years being inside Apple's engine room, what was it like to come out and build something from zero again?
Yeah, I'm having a blast. My partner, Philippe, and I, the reason that we bonded is we're both product people. We really mostly enjoy building things. And I think we're both really pleased that we can do this and work for ourselves and build a product. It's been fun. And because of AI, the job of building a product is changing dramatically, right? So it used to be that there was a lot of engineering to make small progress, and the people close to the customer needs had to be translated through a lot of deep stacks of engineering to get anything built. And AI is flattening that all out. Right now, in effect, you can use something like Copilot and you can type in the specs of what you actually want and it will write you code. And the result of that is that for Philippe and I, two product people, we feel like we're much closer in this project than we've ever been in any previous project to the design of the product. It's amazing how much more quickly we can build features and improve features in this environment than in the past. And so that makes it's super fun. It's super fun. This is the upside of AI. There's a lot of scary things about AI for the average person, but the upside is that it's to use this famous Steve Jobs quote about the computer being a bicycle for the mind. AI is a booster rocket for
Absolutely.
for most workflow, if you know how to use it and if you're willing to use it.
Yes.
It accelerates everything. And that's our product is AI and is doing that for job seekers. And then we're using AI on the back end to build our AI product. And it's been fun. So we're having a great time. And as much as I loved working at Apple, which is just a brilliant culture for accomplishment and getting things done and building great stuff, it's a big company. And the upside of our little startup here is we're very close to everything. And it's really a blast.
Most job boards out there and companies in the space serve employers. They don't do the employees. It's the employers because those are the ones, that's where all the money is. And I love that you flipped the script on that. How do you stay grounded in building for job seekers first instead of doing what everybody else is doing?
Stay focused to our mission. There's a lot to be done. We talk to the job seekers every day, and just before this call, I was on with one of our users. She had all sorts of inputs that some of which we had not considered before. And so our belief is this: if we're successful with this, we can help both sides.
Yeah.
If we can help the job seeker, in many ways, I think a lot of the job boards, they've lost track of the essential commodity in the job hunt, which are the job seekers.
Of course.
It's easy to think when you get 500 submissions that that it's just they're all grains of rice. Everybody's the same, and you just need to pick one. But the truth is actually different. And when I talk to people on the HR side, what's fascinating to me is while they're implementing these mass solutions like ATS systems, on the same time, their fundamental statement to me is, I really wish I could know the candidates better. Because they know at some level that they're not going to get good candidates just by cookie cuttering them through these systems. At some point, they have to make a decision on a human being. And resumes only tell us so much about human beings. And one of the angles that we're going to look at is ways to help people be found better as candidates. The resume is an anachronism and from the past, and it probably needs to be updated. And so that's our mission. And if we're successful, we really feel like we're going to help both sides. We'll make it easier for everybody to meet and to be considered for roles. And I think as we move on, we might be able to really help those people on the HR side as they're trying to find good candidates. And by the way, Callings, our thousands of users, they're all senior people with 10 plus years of experience. Most of them, I think, not everybody. We have students, we have early entries into the job market, but the bulk of our users are highly qualified white collar tech workers. And that's the other aspect of it is we're going to be a great source for those types of candidates.
Without a doubt. As a bootstrap founder, which I absolutely love, how have you balanced speed, hiring, and feature development?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jeff. I don't know how we're balancing it.
That's a good answer.
We wake up every day and we just remind ourselves, make the product better, make the experience better for users. That's the first thing that we do. And then we just go down the checklist. We're constantly making notes on the things that'll make things better. And then as the CEO, I also have a set of other checklists, which is how to get out into the world and articulate our product to as many people as possible so that people understand what Callings is and promote our brand, identify business opportunities for us. And I just go through my checklist every day. And a recent conversation I had with a startup founder, he had this great thing. He said, on a daily basis, I never feel like I get anything done. And then every 3 months, I look back and I'm amazed at how much I've gotten done. And I think he's right. I feel the same way. On a daily or weekly basis, I'm like, oh man, we accomplished nothing. And then I look back and I say, so what is it? It's August. Since May, we've made tremendous strides. We've added huge new features to our product. We've got other ones in development that we've been working on, which are going to roll out soon. And we've increased our user base. We've made all this progress. And so that's the fun part. But some days I just feel like I'm whack-a-mole, just trying to chop things down. But I do enjoy it.
That's awesome. Any, say, oh no moments or near misses in the first year that you'd warn other founders about, or you'd go back to tell yourself, watch out for this?
Oh, yeah, a million, right?
We all have those.
Yeah, I think the idea that you have when you start this thing, or what most founders have, is my idea is brilliant, fully formed from the head of Zeus, and now I just implement it. And then thought I buy my private island in the Caribbean. And
there's a lot that's in between those two statements.
Right. That's the thing, right? Is you skip over that mentally. And I think it's probably a safer, my current thinking on it is that basically you're hacking through the wilderness with a machete, trying to find the path to the city of gold. And you go on wrong paths, you go down paths which you seem promising but turn out to not be where you want to go. You make mistakes, you have to backtrack. And the trick is to just keep your eye on the prize and to keep going. And that journey teaches you things that help make your company unique. And I remember, so Steve Jobs has had a big influence on my life, having worked at Apple. I'm going to paraphrase him. One of the points he said is he didn't like having consultants working at his company. He liked the employees to own it. And the reason why is the way he expressed it was, the journey of building something teaches you valuable things that your competitors don't get to learn unless they do that work. And if you turn that work over to a consultant, first of all, they're not going to learn it. Or if they do, they take it away. And then the company doesn't have that internal knowledge. And the internal knowledge is basically all the failures. Like you learn from failure. You don't learn from success. You only learn from failures and then retrying or recasting. And one of the ethos that we have that's in our company, whatever bylaws or our charter, is we're built entirely on iteration. You build, it works a little bit, it doesn't work in parts, you rebuild and you iterate and iterate. And if you do it right, you wake up months or years later with a polished product that seems super smooth and perfectly suited. But that only happens because of the iteration. You can't build it that way. And that would be one of the things that I would share with any founder is understand that you're going to go on a journey. It's going to take you much longer than you think. The challenges are going to be different than you think. It's not about winning over a VC. Maybe, I think that's important, and we're still trying to, but it's more important to nail the meaning of your company in the world and why it exists and why it helps people and why they should pay money for it. And that's a journey that never ends. You're never satisfied that you've answered that correctly. And then through that iteration process, you get all this knowledge that helps you. And I think the companies that are successful, the teams and the leaders of those companies have gone through this process. And so they know their industry and they know their opportunities better than anybody else. And they have these creative ideas that come out of that. And that seems to be the lesson that I'm learning as we go through. Every day somebody says something and I'm like, oh, wow, I'd never really thought of that. Or, oh, they're not using it the way that we had intended. They're using it
Right.
differently. So that means we have to redesign or we have to rethink our process. But the upside of that is that's the fun part. I think people always loved using Lego because it's fun to build stuff.
Of course.
And that's what a startup is.
That's a powerful observation. How do you and Philippe split responsibilities as co-founders? And what is it that makes the partnership work?
Yeah.
I'm just assuming that it does because you guys have doing awesome things.
You'll have to interview him, bring him on the next podcast,
The real story.
That's right. Let me tell you what I really think about Garrett Rice. Yeah, here's the thing. I feel like Philippe is one of the best product partners I've ever had. I think first and foremost, we see things similarly. When we talk, we're very much in alignment on the high level way things should work. For example, iteration. Both of us are obsessed with that be a core character of our company. But you could have a different partner and they wouldn't think that, but he does. And we're both very focused on making great products. That's the part that we enjoy most. Those are the conversations that we have that I think we both enjoy the most is, what if we did this? What if we had this feature? And so I think that's what brings us together. We're both in alignment on AI. We both have been around a long time. I think we don't have some of the delusions of youth that affect startups, including like I had an early startup very early in my career. And I learned the hard way on all sorts of aspects of it. And he's been through, I think, 7 startups. We're experienced. And so I think we see things similarly. And then where we split responsibilities to your part of your question is I'm more on the business side and the marketing side and the outbound side. And my roles at the company are helping to drive marketing, helping to build the business and all the business aspects of it, promotion of the brand. And then I feel like, maybe he disagrees, but I feel like I'm probably the de facto product manager as well.
Okay.
Whereas he's the CTO. He drives most of the product development. He manages all the engineering teams. I think he's the creative force on the implementation of the features that solve customer needs. I go to him with a problem. And early in my career as a product manager, one of the things an engineer told me is, don't tell me what you want me to build. Tell me what problem you want me to solve.
Yeah,
and that will allow me to come up with a better solution. And that's how Philippe and I work is I come to him and I present problems, customer problems. And an example I'll give you is this. We didn't originally have a resume builder in our platform. Our initial audience was people who already had a resume. But we heard from a lot of people that they didn't know if the resume was any good. They didn't know how to rebuild it. And so I presented all of this to Philippe. And he went away and came back with a new feature we just shipped a couple of weeks ago, which is a resume analysis and rebuild feature where you drop your resume into our platform and we give you this really detailed explanation where it's strong, where it's weak, make recommendations on where you can improve it, and then the tools to do that all. And he built it all. And I had that moment, which I think is what everybody in the product business dreams of, which is surprise and delight. Right?
Yes.
There's a moment, if you do it right, where you build a product and you show it to a customer and they light up like a light bulb.
Exactly.
And you surprised and delighted them. And they're like, they couldn't imagine that the problem could be solved that way. And you did it. And they just laugh. And that was for example, I remember my first time I ever saw the Mac computer. Way back, most of your listeners probably weren't even alive, but in the 1980s, I walked into a store and saw the Macintosh, and I had been using DOS for years. And I saw that thing, and it was like I got hit by a hammer seeing that interface. It's lost now. Every technology has it. That was a breakthrough moment. The iPhone is another.
Totally.
Or the internet, when I first saw the internet. And AI, right? The first time you ever typed something into ChatGPT. These are surprise and delight moments. And, and a great product has those. And so anyways, I ramble off as I'm prone to do, but Philippe, he has that ability and I just love it. He's always surprising me with new features. And for him, he just loves to build them. It's a great partnership for that because we're both talking about the ideas and then they manifest and then we show them to users. And if the users like them, we're like laughing to ourselves about it.
What's maybe one belief you had at the start of the journey that's completely changed?
That we'd be billionaires in 6 months.
On that private island? Yeah.
on the private island, a completely ethical private island, not like some of the
Right.
private islands that
Right.
everybody
Right.
talk about right now, family style private island. Yeah, I'm joking. Of course, every startup founder dreams that they'll be successful fast, but a lot of wrong journeys on small things about the product that I would recommend that didn't work out. That's always the case. I was in marketing in a time that's different from now, and so much of my training was on old style marketing, advertising, and the marketing business has totally changed. So my expectations on how to get out and tell customers about what we're doing was totally wrong. In the modern environment, traditional marketing, as near as I can tell, doesn't work at all.
Yep.
You're sending stuff out into the universe and nobody reads it.
Right.
What has worked is totally different. It's talking to people like you, people who have audiences that are aligned with what we're talking about. It's earning credibility with people. This seems to be the new thing with products that I'm discovering. Is the big problem is that we're all in a absolute ocean of products. Every day I wake
Yes.
up in my email and I get 30 emails from people selling different business solutions for different aspects of my business. And
Right.
and all of them have the same problem. They're in my inbox and I don't know if I trust them. And so credibility is the key. And it's really hard earned, right? You have to win credibility over one person at a time. And so that was, I think, one big lesson on the business side. And one thing I would recommend for any founders is that the issue of marketing is not getting people to know that your brand exists. I think that the issue is getting people to trust your brand, know what it is, and also trust it enough to go to your website and sign up. Because I think
Yeah.
people are increasingly very cynical about the messages they receive
Yes.
and the opportunities for things. And of course, people are being subscriptioned to death for everything.
Yes.
And so people are, I think, more conservative about the things they sign up for now than they used to be. And so that's the one big lesson that I've learned and that was different than I expected, which is my expectation was it was just getting the word out about what we were doing. And what I've discovered is our job is credibility, convincing people honestly that what we're doing is helping people and that they should try us. We will deliver on the things that we're promising that they expect from us.
Good. Where can people learn more about Colleen's online?
That's an excellent question, Jeff. I tell you what, I will give your listeners a special URL. I'll have to set it up this afternoon. But why don't we say that if you go to www.callings.ai slash
SaaS Fuel?
SaaS Fuel is fine. SaaS Fuel.
All right, perfect.
Then we will offer you 30 days free on the platform. So you can go and job search for 30 days using every feature on our platform at no cost.
That's awesome.
And so any of your listeners can do that and we would welcome them. And so that'll be working, well, by the time this podcast is published. The second thing, and if this comes out before the 19th of August, I also want to point out that we are going to we know that 18 million to 20 million Americans a year are laid off, and which is an astounding number to me.
It is.
And this year it might be even higher based on the number of layoffs that are coming out.
Could be.
We have a special service called Life After the Layoff, where we're trying to provide help for people. And so we offer access to callings, but we have a live seminar on the 19th with 3 of the top job hunting experts in the world to talk specifically about how to go about taking the next steps after a layoff. So it's called the Layoff Recovery Workshop, Layoff Recovery Masterclass. And that's on the 19th. And you can get there by going to lifeafterthelayoff.com. And then that offers you all sorts of benefits as a laid off job seeker to help you get your job search going. And I think this webinar is going to be fantastic.
Outstanding. And will that be on the platform after the 19th as well?
It's very likely we'll put it on the platform for reviewing as well. Yes.
Nice. Very good. Hey, everybody should go check that out. It's collings.ai/SaaS Fuel. Very cool. Garrett, absolute pleasure. Thanks for being on SaaS Fuel.
Jeff, thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation.
Thanks again, Garrett, for coming on the show and sharing your journey and insights. You can learn more about Garrett and Callings at callings.ai. They do have a free forever plan, but go to callings.ai/SaaS Fuel and you can get a free month of premium. Normally, I have a 14-day trial. This is an entire month. I know we have lots of founders listening. If you're doing any downsizing, right sizing, that's happening in a lot of places, give your departing people that link and they can get a jump start on their next role. Or if you're hiring, a great use is to give it to all the candidates you don't hire, build some goodwill. Like we just had 550 really great candidates apply for 2 sales roles. We hired 3 and then gave everybody else the free month, just a way to add value to every connection and build that goodwill. We'll make sure and link that in the show notes. But all links, highlights, resources, everything we talked about are linked here in the show notes. And that's available at saasfuel.com. And of course, check us out on YouTube as well. Lots of resources over there for you. Thought leaders share, and you're here, so you're definitely one of those. Share this episode with a startup friend who's building in stealth, fundraising in public, and living in spreadsheets. Everyone who shares this week gets a lifetime subscription to FOMO Plus, the only platform that auto notifies you when everyone else is crushing it, so you can too, or at least pretend like they are. What if your brand's message isn't just unclear, it's inaccessible? Well, next week, Mike Barton, VP of Corporate Communications at AudioEye, shares how inclusive storytelling can open new markets, build real trust, and make your message resonate far beyond compliance checklists. Then after that, we have Jonathan Mast. He'll show us how entrepreneurs are using smart AI prompting to scale faster, simplify decisions, and stop wasting time on tools that don't deliver. I'll see you next time, and as always, enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to SaaS Fuel. Full show notes for each episode, which includes a summary, key takeaways, quotes, and any resources mentioned, are available at saasfuel.com. Be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're enjoying the content and getting value from these episodes, please leave us a rating and review at ratethispodcast.com/saasfuel. We'll be sure to read these out on future episodes.
Let's go!